we're going into our final Erangel of the day. So we're going to throw it back to our commentators to drop us on in with John, Allen, and Blake.
Boys, over on the desk, from Novo over to shooting range of the day is just around the corner.
I think we've been to Novo as our starting point for pretty much every single playing path today. So this has been a little bit more readable for our teams, but interesting positions all around the map that we've headed over towards. Apartments, even over towards school on that last game. Some crazy stuff coming through, which is always nice to see here over the Pmgc Grand Finals. We've got massive support for 4MV here going into our fourth game of the day.
Hot drops, maybe. We've seen TJB, the Vicious, have trouble at the start of these matches before. A little bit of a symptom of the plane path, but maybe they're on the lock-in. Over on that northwest side, just around that Gatka area. Circle goes out east though blank, it's Milta Peninsula, it's Lipovka, it's the mansion splits.
An adjustment we saw from them earlier on. They do head over towards Milta Power again, and it supports them actually, you know, over on this eastern side. They can make them rotate up towards Lipovka, have a much easier time of things, which is nice to see. Na'Vi also on that side of things in shelter. I'll see if Na'Vi can get a better game on top, but Influence Rage very, very close behind them. 74 points off the back of two good games, which could have been two chicken dinners back-to-back here.
Certainly could have been. They had that opportunity, but Influence Rage on the... They sit themselves in a launching position to get up towards that top spot. They will share with the Vicious comfortably for a little bit longer. It's the routes out that you need to make that move first because of the fact that so many teams are going to be pushing in from that west side and they don't really have too many to try and isolate, and I think it's a little bit more pressure on the Vicious. The west side include Guild,
including DRX, Enigma Galaxy.
Up on North George, and they'll have to try and navigate that river crossing, maybe sweep around past Stalba or go through the middle near Potato Hill.
Yeah, always awkward here. I mean, most teams are going to shift over from that western side anyway. Team Spirit, so there will be openings made later on. Just means you have to play edge for a little bit longer. They'll likely want to try and get ahead of this, but it's not like they probably my favorite going to be. You can see the lovely new McLaren favorite new skin for the vehicles so far. Looks sleek.
I like the wheels. That's my favorite part of that skin, I think.
Yeah,
the little designs on the wheels, you know. No, that's the engine, actually, I'm afraid. Fact checked.
Without the wheels, the car no go.
Without the engine, the car no go.
Yes, yes. Symbiosis.
Yes. One cannot occur without the other. Two things, both necessary. Thunder Talk, necessary to hold down this ground as they push in and up from the Milta Power Peninsula towards Na'Vi, who have taken a knock. Not the flush just yet, but Cheng is moving into position on the off angle now to try and enact a little bit of pain over towards the Na'Vi ranks. Lemon exposed and a little bit up on high. King able to give Overwatch from the top rope there, and Flip is found as well. Na'Vi pulled apart by Thunder Talk.
For Na'Vi, it's a weird rotate in the first place. It's a strong rotate from Thunder Talks though. And again, this is something that maybe you wouldn't expect coming from Thunder Talks, moving over towards Milta Power at that point in time. The fact they're able to do that catches Na'Vi off guard. They're able to make their way up. But again, scouting is key, and things do change on a dime as we move through this PMGC. And I think that's something you got to be aware of. For instance, even though that last game, there was a great adjustment there from TJB where they were being held up by Alpha 7. They were like, fine, we'll sit in inside box compound. You guys are going to have to move anyway, but we were going to refuse to play into your hand. So this is what Na'Vi kind of fails on there.
Influence Rage, they moved out. So did the Vicious. Both of them coming into contact as damage is coming through from a lot of teams. These early maneuvers, quite treacherous seemingly. Thunder Talk have taken a knock. You've seen a knock over towards Incilio. Damage sent towards Influence Rage. Obviously Na'Vi going out entirely. But it is definitely a little bit of a nasty set of rotates. Incilio losing a player as the Falcons make their way across from Novo as well. So they breach in towards the Milta area. Incilio going to have to flee towards the peninsula and allows Falcons a straight shot towards the middle.
For the Falcons, it's much better. They have been cut out plenty of times down towards that south side by Incilio, so getting the first impact over towards them is very important for them, and it means that Incilio is going to be playing a little bit more cautiously. Team Spirit actually were able to find a hit over towards Thunder Talks, but unable to confirm that flush. but at least Thunderdogs are now aware of that position down towards the south side. And for Team Spirit, it is pretty imperative right now that they pick themselves up some more points, because that points margin for them really hasn't moved all that much. The dial not swinging too hard for Team Spirit today.
No, they started on a very similar scoreline to what they potentially get a lot of info over towards Incilio, spot that rotation, maybe the vehicles in the compound down there, feed that back over towards the rest of the team, and to be fair, that does keep their south flank fairly secure.
Yeah, playing over on that cliff face for Kitsune, it's a bold move, I'll give him that, but he'll be on his own for a while. But it did provide good information going forward. You can always move over towards the crates, which Incilio likely might want to move over towards later. Voindonkey, though, outside in the blue, cut out by 4MV. Doc watching that angle. We have currently Enigma Galaxy on our screens, who are scouting everywhere. We got Ralph down towards Milta at the moment, looking to regroup back over towards that north side, but it's D+ laying down the wall in front of them. Shields up for them, looking to rebuff Enigma Galaxy.
Playing around those shelter locations, D+ Kier stretching a line across the center of this circle as it shrinks in again. Goes a little bit more land-based, so not too dramatic on this shift. Falcons have managed to get ahead. I mean, this is what that pick over in Milta has allowed them to do, to move in ahead of Incilio on their rotate. Kitsune now very likely to look for the regroup. Team Spirit want to play the west side of that prison opening. You can see that the majority of the players are going to be moving out that way. Kitsune regrouping on the east side of it. Thundertalk still to their north, and that's going to push Thundertalk up towards the mansion conflict that is very likely to occur between teams like Alpha 7, like Vicious, like Guild, and all the way out. On the north side, you've still got TJB yet to come in as well, so plenty of teams yet to condense on that top side. The south side, a little bit more set in its ways.
Yeah, Kitsune regrouping with the team. Falcons move through this area. It's getting a little bit claustrophobic for Team Spirit. Similarly for RCB, surrounded on all sides. I mean, they have definitely a position to play from. Alpha 7 getting scarily close to DRX. This is over towards Alamo. As soon as DRX has to give up this high ground, it gets a lot more easy for Alpha 7 to make that approach, but they do find themselves at home. Will immediately move over towards that location. Good stuff from Alpha 7. It's on the north side. I think they'll be happy to play this spot out for a little bit longer, especially because we're still in Stage 2. Stage 3 is really where we'll start having to look for more significant portions of landmass.
With 4MV trying to navigate their way on in, they still, towards the latter half of the day, Blank, hold that top spot, right? They are in first place, but now only by a hair, where before it was by a country mile. So now that gap has shrunk. They need to post up another strong result. It's not going to be a military circle, which means that they will not have that assistance on side. They need to find a little bit more. They had a decent result over by School on that south side position, able to survive quite long into the game, get a lot of eliminations in the apartments positions as well. I think they played that very well. So we'll see if they can repeat that here. Voindonkey ID, though, going to be moving in behind 4MV on that southwest edge, just on the north edge of farm, and over towards those dips in those road junctions that could potentially be hotly contested here. But for now, arm's length between most of our teams.
Thunderdogs were able to get a knock over towards Falcons. It's not been res just yet either, as East makes his way on over towards Icy. Scrape him off the floor, put him back on his feet. Pretty calm circle for the time being. Some interesting spots around here. We do have Dip still in play over towards that western side mansion as well as Shelter. Yeah, a lot of strong positions. Waiting now on stage 3. This will be the big kicker for a lot of teams of where they decide to play. Now Dip becomes really important. 4MV could challenge for it, but Voindonkey hot on their heels.
A fast rotate on the southwest side as we head up a little bit closer to the Yaz Fields. You've got the Vicious in a really important compound, in that Heaven compound that oversees the northeast side entirely. We have seen it shared in the past, one team up, one team down, but right now the Vicious have it 2-2 on their split. Voindonkey ID faster than 4MV, and they get up to the roadside. They'll challenge off, they'll stand off against DRX, who actually take a little bit of damage over in their building. Over in the Alamo, and the roll-up for Void Donkey ID successful.
Void Donkey ID, they've been struggling, but these type of positions, they love to play them. They work out well for them. Void Donkey ID currently still on 4 players. From the ditch, though, they have a lot of presence when it comes to that long-range firepower. Pmgc inside a dip at the moment, holding this one out. Strong position to play, but you got to be massively on the swivel. And this is not likely to be in the next circle. It definitely could be, but with it being so far down towards the southwest, they will be praying for a circle shift going their way. Team Spirit slowly angling their way into position where they can drop the net on Pmgc and potentially catch them off guard.
Oh
my!
Big nade from Pmgc. Over towards Void Donkey ID. They lost Vexy on the rotate. I was worried about their rear duo regroup, and it seems like that fear has come to pass. Unfortunately, could potentially be pretty devastating for them. DRX, they weren't able to stop that first duo coming through, but as soon as they had those sightlines established, they were ready for the second set of Void Donkey ID players. And now they are down to 2, Zeta and Potato. As Zeta gets pulled out of the vehicle, DRX just being so brutal. Down shots on towards this position, and it's just Potato in the smoke with the shotgun, looking to try and stay alive, but those smokes will fade eventually, and there's teams waiting in the wings to pull them down, but Revo for Alpha 7, a scout down to the south and up to the ridgeline. It's going to work out.
So is immediately is on the case, though, and that forces him back, which gives more time to DRX. For the rest of Alpha 7 starting to move down from that north side. Mafioso not at all close by. He's on the southern edge of Yasnaya, just peeking his way out, getting some information for the teams down towards that southern edge. Team Spirit still playing their cards right, just very safely down towards that south side. In purview, though, of the Falcons on the east, who are just making their way out from prison, so they do have that high ground to play around with.
The Falcons did manage to get that res earlier, Blank, so they're playing as 4 on the northwest corner of prison. Incilio going for a wide sweep around the edge. Thundertalk, probably the team that they're going to come into contact with here, with Guild on the far angle. Could potentially be a third-party situation as Guild do go down in a central position. And they wish that they still had that. Very likely to want to move as well. Taking a look at the map feed, Void Donkey ID under control. Because now it's Alpha 7 on the north. It's DRX in their comp for them.
Looking like it will play out very nice. And again, once you get this spot and it's not been removed from you at this stage of the game, it becomes really strong. Fache up towards that top side, looking out over towards Guild. Azer doing his best, but it's not quite enough here versus 3TN. Incilio takes a pretty heavy hit, but nothing they can't stand back up from. In the meantime, RCB flying past the Thundertalks, getting ahead of them. How in the hell the Thundertalks let this happen?
No idea. I mean, it was a rotation, I guess, in parallel there. Thundertalk didn't have the sightlines established. They can't really step up. It's worrying, though, that they couldn't stop it. You're right. Alpha 7 on the north side, they've got the rooftops to play with. Mafioso is still in South George. The function of Mafioso in South Yasnaya, the function of his position is to keep that high ground and protect Alpha 7 from backstabs, right? For a team like Incilio or Guild or the Vicious, moving in from that east side, wrapping around, pushing into the north edge of their compound. Mafioso stays there. That option is removed because you cannot step up to that wall. You cannot establish a push, drop those smokes, take your time with Mafioso taking those shots. This is what Incilio are going to attempt now, and this is where Mafioso needs to come in clutch, but the blue zone's going to be pushing him as well, so needs to be very careful as to when he takes those peaks.
If Mafioso is basically an installed alarm system over towards that northern side, and the alarm is going to start blaring very shortly. In the meantime, Team Spirit rolling through over towards Dip. Pushing further forward over towards Influence Rage. This feels like a very, very dangerous rotate from Team Spirit. Kitsune might get left behind. The vehicle is smoking away, and you can see those shots absolutely blasting away at his team. But they make it in. Strong position to play from. Influence Rage might want to head on forward. But this is so exposed, John.
Oh, 4MV managed to thread the needle on the shot. That's from outside the circle blank. The vehicle has gone up, though, and there is cover now available for Team Spirit. They can just hunker down for a little bit longer. DRX not going to be flexing out from this one. They want to keep their building under control. There's too many people around them for them to actually be able to go and third-party this position. So it's only going to be nades that could potentially reach Kitsune, and he's already getting raised. So potentially a strong result. TJB want to try and challenge for this rotate, though. ThunderTalk have taken heavy casualties in the meantime, and RCB want to capitalize. High in the compound will not hold it, and RCB with a fast roll down, make it work. TJB trying to keep things together for the PEL squads now, because ThunderTalk have been pushed down by the wayside. Nomi and Matic very low. Kitsune healing up, but TJB can't find that opening.
For TJB, it's a scary team for Team Spirit to go up against here, considering the fact that they are so aggressive. I think as soon as they got that first knock, saw that first knock go over towards Team Spirit, they were like, I'm going to push this, try and take a more central location. It was Pmgc to float on past Team Spirit, though. Head over towards RCB, who just concluded their fight with the ThunderTalks.
Nades cooking for RCB and for Enigma Galaxy. We've seen this bombardment from Enigma Galaxy before. They do like to invest these at this stage. A nade over towards Redox does connect from Wild, looking to put a second down as well and chew through it. That is an excellent opener, but what more can they do now? Enigma Galaxy really want to take this under control. The circle gives them so much strength on this position, but they just need to lock it down. Unfortunately, two of their players have been knocked. I don't think RCB are going to invest any more nades here, so 4 players may be a piece for both of these two teams in a central roadside position.
Yeah, you leave it at that. I think for Enigma Galaxy, I'm going to try to crawl away from this one. Alpha 7 taking some long shots over towards Vicious, who are on the south side of Guild. Good shots as well, actually. They're from very long distance. For Team Spirit, as well as Influence Rage, they're essentially waiting for the circle.
Ooh, a nade over the top from Axo. Able to find a player on the Vicious. Bronozin does get some healing done, but the vehicles are getting battered about by the nades, and so are the health bars. Guild able to move through, and that is the Vicious down from the northeast side. They cannot leave from that Heaven compound. And on the northeast, Guild find a little opening, but Incilio have taken the opportunity to move in front of this. Low HP, this is dangerous, they're getting pulled out. And it will be another elimination going through for Guild as they go down in the open. Unfortunately, the sightline's not playing well for them. That's Alpha 7 to chime in and trying to get that step forwards, but I just don't see it happening.
Good hold from Enigma Galaxy over towards the Falcons. They attempt to get a little bit closer. D Plus also holding on stalwartly down towards the south side, where much of the action is taking place. And Alpha 7 might just hit a blinder here over on this northern edge. Able to play this game nice and slow outwards. Falcons now down to 1 player.
East on the east, just trying to keep himself together. See if we can keep it under control for the game. 4MV trying to make their way through, but Influence Rage now, with that point and against 4MV, are in first place. There is an overtake now as Influence Rage from the south edge look for D plus Kia as well. Nolbu just about able to sprint his way back to the rest of the team, a little bit closer to cover. But Influence Rage can continue this pressure. With Chips down on the off angle, D plus Kia are down a player. Influence Rage can start to exact control over it.
Massive amount of land, but a great nade from Osal. Unlikely to get their player back up. And D plus can force the initiative.
Ooh, Fabian charges it down over the side of the cliff there, and with 3 players, D plus clear, not out of it just yet. Nolbu gets the information on the push-up from Influence Rage to that ridge line. Meanwhile, over on the west side, Team Spirit are still trying to... The nades just bounce overhead, and Nomi once again fades the damage. Team Spirit did lose a player earlier, but now with TJB right on the edge, I think they're going to be starting to run dry on supplies. 676 has at least 1 more nade here. Team Spirit just trying to keep their heads down. If they stay alive, they have the edge of this circle.
It is so awkward here. I'm more worried about Doc, to be honest with you. He could be a massive outside chance. TJB slowly moving these vehicles up, and Team Spirit somewhat of a stranglehold over towards them. Luckily, though, DRX finds the angle from the sidelines. They pushed over towards the west, and that's 1 player down in Triple S.
They've realized, Blank, that there's no one actually pushing onto their compound. No one's threatening from the hill, so they can afford to flexing 676 back up. There is no way that they're able to make that happen. And what do you do at this stage? It is pretty much done and dusted for TJB. They're locked down by the sightlines from Team Spirit and from DRX on the overhead crossfire. It's so difficult to make anything happen here, and I think that they are not long for this match.
Longs are living as long as possible, but there is shots going over towards DRX at the moment, so they have to be very careful. Nomi spots one, but will go down as TJB holds on for a little bit longer, but there is a refrag. Question is, are there any smokes to get Nomi back up into the picture?
Big nade, overarm from Kitsune, doesn't find Flower, but his position is known. Everybody has sightlines over towards it. Nomi makes a smart crawl, knows that the ridgeline is covered off towards DRX, knows that he's isolated that angle as well that had threat towards him. And the regroup now from DRX leaves TJB's head spinning by the flex out from South Korea.
It's a good, it gives me the spooks. I think when you look at this, in play from Team Spirit, it has to be said, Doc Nate they just need to survive it. It literally is survival. RCB crashes through.
But they've still got one more to go. They find it. RCB with another roll down. Blank. They're up to 11 eliminations on this match. They have been sweeping, they have been aggressive, and they have been earning point after point. A fantastic push up the tables for the team from Turkey. Oh, I've been waiting for it. It's good to see it come through. On the northeast side, it seems like things have been isolated. And it was TJB to fall as well. So we're down to 5 teams. And out on the west, you've still got, is that 3? Yeah, 3 players from Team Spirit. As 4MB do finally fall. No eliminations, but a 5th place, it's not the end of the world.
We had 4 out of the top 6 in the top 5 of this game, which is somewhat surprising, honestly. It really does feel like those leading teams are starting to pull ahead a little bit now. Team Spirit down towards that southwest side, getting a little bit of damage done over towards DRX. The circle will close, and Team Spirit's going to have to figure out their game plan going forward because their vehicles are shredded. D+, though, now going up against RCB. Great nade, has to run away from it, won't quite take him down. Good reactions there from D+.
Team Spirit's cupboards are bare here. Really don't have too much to play with other than the magazines and their weapons. Fearsome prospect. If they can push up, if they can find an opening, they will take it. D+ Kia trying to handle RCB out on the east side. 4 players for RCB alive as Loxy tries to keep that suppression down. The wide sweep, and they love these vehicle roll-ups. Osal falls. Nolboot now the last to stand for them, and he's dancing around, but Sara takes his dinner away from him. Able to find the shutdown, and RCB up to 14 eliminations now, Blank.
14 elims. Top 3. What a game from RCB. Still 4 players alive here going forward. At his interview, a little bit of encouragement. You've done it before, you can do it again. He took that to heart.
Vehicle from somewhere. Dredged it from the depths. Digging deep on this one. Effect. With, I think, the only nade on side. As they roll forwards, they manage to find the dip, and DRX really can't push out too far. The question is, what sightlines do RCB have over to this? The vehicle blockade continues as Team Spirit find it a little bit more. RCB up to the hill, over the top of DRX. Have they just given this presence over towards Team Spirit? It feels like they maybe have, but they've left the player out on the east side. Sara, the Lone Ranger. A little bit less easy to communicate with him, of course. That language barrier means you put him on an off angle. He knows what he's doing. He is that Lone Ranger, doesn't need to communicate as effectively. He can ping out those approaches.
Awkward locations of every single portion of these circles. They have literally never had a home. They're sleeping out on the benches at the moment. But they're still doing it. This is an unreal result for Team Spirit. A true test of survival for this squad. They are now in nade range, which is somewhat spooky.
It's basically a death sentence, Blank. At this stage, Loxy lands one on Kitsune's head and finds a second from Silas, sent his way too. The bouncers still continue, and Team Spirit have nothing. They have no answer to this. Their nades are completely gone. They blew them all earlier on that southwest hold.
They're playing for second. They got some more nades off of that ditch in the first place, but they're all on Nomi at the moment. But they have to essentially hope that by the time DRX becomes the focus for RCB, which they should do from Alamo.
Here.
This is a great play. I really like this play.
Those smokes are about to fade, Blank. They're about to dissipate.
John, honestly, getting effect up to here to damage the exit here from DRX is huge, because it means that they're likely to go down first, and they're just hoping that Nomi lives long enough.
Ooh.
This is so good. The delay is massive. It doesn't matter that effect's down. Like I said, this is a death sentence for DRX.
The blue zone pushes, and DRX need to find their way out. They have not got the pace. It would be a miracle to break free, but Nomi is still down there in the ditch. With RCB on 4 players alive, DRX just want to ladder up into second place. They've had a great game here, Blank. We may be redefining the top of the tables based on this. With 16 eliminations, RCB want to close this down on the 20. See how much they can get. DRX moving out to a hail of fire, but it's not quite connecting here. Sara nearly running dry, but finally a spray down connects. One player falls for DRX, a second as well. That goes to Loxy. 2 players still trying to make their way through. The open smoke ground not going to be clean. Soaz goes down next, and only 1 player survives. It is Hyunbin. What can Nomi do to maybe get that second place? He's still down in the ditch. He's spotted the player, I'm sure.
DRX still 1 player left remaining, like you say, Hyunbin's still up. And he will take him down. Nomi takes the second place. An unbelievable game from RCB. A survivalist performance from Team